So today I'm going to show you how to make this little dog hat here with this brushed out frizzy hair. I kind of think of it as an Einstein wig because of its shape. And what I start with is actually a hat like this that is just knitted, and then I tie all of these little tassels to it, just regular sport weight yarn. I'm going to show you how I do that real quick. For this wig I use two different colors. I have a lighter purple and I also have a darker purple because I want there to be some depth and some interest in the wig once it's brushed out. It'll be a lot less noticeable when it's brushed out, the color difference, because this one here is out of two colors too. There's a dark pink and a light pink. And so I'm going to show you how I tie the little tassels on. So first I thread them through my sewing needle here, and then this is my only little bald patch left. What I'm going to do, I'm going to illustrate it here on a piece of paper, is I work into both sides of the stitch. So a knitted stitch looks like a V shape, and I'm going to tie a tassel here, and I'm also going to tie one here. So each knitted stitch, which is in a V shape, will have 4 lengths of yarn attached to it in the end. It makes a nice full head of hair, I guess. Alright, so I'm working into one side of the stitch, and I basically just thread it through and tie a double knot like that. That one's done. Then I grab one of my second color, thread it, and work into the other side of the stitch, just like that. And I pull my needle out, and I just tie another double knot. Okay, and I'm done tying the tassels. And the first thing that I'm going to do is trim it ever so slightly. Use my scissors. I just want to get the long ones and make sure I don't have any super long ones anywhere. And just a very light trim, like so. Yeah, that's it. It looks good. One more. Okay, and now I just want to talk about how I tied these little tassels, and I want to show you what's going on here. So I tied the tassels all along the top front, the forehead of the hat, but I didn't tie them to the very bottom half of the stitch because then the yarn would fall directly straight down and I'd have to fight it. But because I tied it to the upper half of the very front stitch, I'm going to have a nice arc when the hair falls across the face, and so it naturally kind of curves up and over, giving me some fun options for the bangs that I'm going to be working on. And now what I did is I actually, apart from the forehead here, I worked it in 3 rings. And I'll show you what I mean. So the first ring is down here, and it's actually just, I'm working into one and the second side of each stitch, but I'm just doing a single row and tying it across like this all the way around the hat. Then a little just like a half an inch or an inch above that, I tied my second row, and you can see that there's my second row there, and it does go all the way around. And then finally I did my little top row, and I even filled in the top portion of the head with a few extras because I don't really want any bald patches anywhere, so I filled it in pretty good. And this is just over 200 individual tassels. Now I just want to talk about the tassels real quick. The thing is, each tassel is tied in half, right? So you really want to think about the length doubled up, right? You want to think about the tassel, the actual length of the tassel in this form, not as a single strand. Because we have an obstacle here in terms of the length of the wig, and that's called the staple length. And what is the staple length? It's actually the length of the fiber of the wool. So, you know, as a sheep roams in the field, it grows its wool, and basically a sheep's wool, the staple, the length of the sheep's hair, is about, you know, maximum 6 inches. And that's kind of an obstacle for us if we're trying to make a much longer wig. It won't be successful because the yarn will always break at 6 inches when I'm brushing it out. So this is the maximum length. These are 3 different types of yarn that I worked with. 6 inches is the maximum length, and you can see in this wig here that it's just how the length that I get from brushing it out. So there's no reason to make it longer because the yarn's always going to break at 6 inches because that is the staple length. Now what I'm going to do is take one of my carders like this. It's a hand carder for combing out roving. And what I do is I'm going to work it one small section at a time. I'll just grab these here in the front. And I don't want it to be too thick of a section. I'm aiming for about, I don't know, 10 strands, but I'm really eyeballing it and kind of taking it easy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start brushing it out like this from the tips on this side and on this side. Move those. And this takes a while. Like this is a time, this is a part of the project that takes a good amount of time. It can even be a little bit tedious. So I like to take some breaks and do it in sessions, one piece at a time. Okay, and it actually brushes out pretty decently. Okay. And again, I'm holding it at the base here, at the tie-on point, because I don't want any of these tearing out or warping or pulling on stitches and kind of damaging the hat itself. So, all right, I'm trying to get all the way to the roots there. All right, and that section is now brushed out. And it looks really pretty with the 2 purples in it. Very natural, and you see the natural crimp of the wool in there. And so I'm going to gradually go piece by piece, section by section, and brush out this hat completely. Now you'll notice that I have quite a bit of fiber left on my carder. And I would say that approximately 50% will come off like this. And that's perfectly normal, and the amount of strands that are recommended in the pattern have accounted for this loss. So I just wanted to point out 2 more things. You see the little decreases here in the hat, the top of the hat. I basically started tying on my strands right at the bottom of those decreases. So all of the strands of yarn are in this section here at the top of the hat. And the last thing I want to say is when you're finished with your hat, if you have any bald patches in there that are visible, you can easily take some of this leftover little scrap fiber, and you can use a little foam mat like this and take your knitting right where your bald patch is and just needle felt it on very simply, and it will stay in place. And I actually did that in this hat right here in this section. And so it stays on pretty good, and it's a nice little trick for filling in some of the holes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.